Hi guys, so I am on my way to the launch party and signing for Heirs of Fate with Wonder Heart Books from Amara Luciano. I do publicity for them and I am moderating the discussion tonight, so I thought I would take you guys along with me. We're getting coffee before the event. You ready?
I'm ready. I can't wait.
It'll be awesome.
YA author with a penchant for morally gray characters and diverse narratives in fiction. Her sister, Gabrielle Luciano, is a digital artist who specializes in concept art for characters and illustration. So not only are they incredible independent artists of their own volition, but they also co-founded the publishing company Wonder Heart Books and produced Heirs of Fate, tonight's particular book. I know some of you have read it, but this paperback version over here features a bonus story that you don't get anywhere else. So be sure to pick up like 1 or 2 or 7 or 8 on your way out tonight for the signing. 3 young women, 3 dark destinies, 1 chance to save everything. Will Dia rescue her betrothed soul from the gods? What path will Zarya choose, remaining imprisoned on a land she hates, or paying the ultimate cost for freedom? How will Jade defeat those threatening her island home? You'll have to find out by reading Heirs of Fate. Amara and Gabrielle will be joined in conversation tonight by Bethany, who is a publicist at Wonder Heart Books and a book reviewer on YouTube. You can follow her on all social media at beautifully bookish Bethany. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Amara, Gabby, and Bethany.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Okay, sure. Well, thank you guys so much for coming tonight. We're so excited. Hello, Louise. I'm moderating. Yes, you want to say hi?
Yes. Hello. Woo. Don't laugh at me like that.
So how are you feeling?
Nervous, excited, all the things. Oh,
All the things.
I'm used to projecting. I'm sorry. Here, you hold it.
You don't need a mic.
No.
Okay, so to start off, she mentioned that you guys co-founded Wonder Heart Books as an indie publishing company. Can you talk a little bit about the mission of Wonder Heart Books and how it came to be?
Yeah. Start.
Yeah, you start.
Okay. So really, To put it simply, we wanted to come together and create like a platform for diverse narratives without being pushy. We just wanted to tell stories that mattered to us, and then at the same time, we wanted to create an environment, a work environment, where we could live in pajamas and do the work that we love to do. So it was a combination of both of those things, giving opportunities to other people who are interested in the book industry, but maybe don't have access to how to enter, whether it's artists, people behind the scenes, editors. So eventually want to invite more people to the fold, and Bethany is a prime example of that. Yay!
Do you have anything to add?
Well, yeah, we just kind of want to tell great stories and also offer like more opportunities to people who don't know how to access that field. Like me in particular, I don't know much about that field myself, so when Mara was just like, hey, you want to start a publishing company? I'm like, okay.
Literally, it came to me in a dream. No.
So I think it's really interesting the way that you guys work together, and especially we have our beautiful Heirs of Fate. So Gabby, if you guys didn't know, is an amazing artist.
Yes.
She did the cover. And so it's really interesting if you guys want to talk a little bit about your process and the collaborative nature of it between the art and the writing. I think it's really unique.
Ooh, like, we fight a lot of the time.
Air it out.
Usually, like, I'm pretty laid back, and my sister's pretty, like, let's kill everybody. Let's be pretty dark, let's be pretty edgy, and I'm like, let's be in a field of flowers. And I handle most of the artistic stuff, she handles most of the literary stuff, and we don't micromanage each other that much,
Yes.
for sure. You wanna...
Yeah, sure. Like she said, we don't micromanage. We don't micromanage Bethany either. We just kind of want to create and then kind of work together in creating a tapestry at the end of it all. It sounds messy and kind of crazy, but it works out really organically every time. And fighting does definitely happen when you're working with your sister. I mean, what do you expect?
And for sure, being a shoulder to cry on.
Like, when hand holding, sobbing on one another.
Yeah.
And kind of along with that, how does the process start in terms of like character design versus story, and like how does that work together?
So with character design, usually she has a basis for how the story is gonna go. Like she knows exactly where the inspiration comes from, and I'm like, okay, so what do you want it to look like? And she's like, I don't know. Like I just kind of have like this blob in my head, and you can kind of do whatever you want. Okay, that's great to work with. And so I'm kind of doing several drafts and seeing what she likes and what I want to do on top of that. And she usually doesn't stand in my way all that much, and I don't stand in her way all that much. And somehow we get something cohesive out of that.
So when I come to Gabby and I'm like, oh, what do you wanna do for this? I share the idea. We kind of go back and forth too on like the creation of the idea, because she's always worried that she never contributes enough to. She's just like, I'm the artist, but actually her character design informs a lot of, especially when I go through revisions, informs a lot of what I do and kind of how I see the characters and how they manifest in my mind. They do start out like blobs. She's not lying. They start out like blobs. They say things. They do things. But as she starts drawing and sketching, they fully realize themselves in my head. So you have a lot to do with that.
Thank you. So talking about what we're all here for tonight, Heirs of Fate. So for those of you who don't know, that contains 3 novellas that were previously published as ebooks, and now we have them together with a short story. So if you talk about like how that all came into being, how it perhaps changed from what you initially thought it was gonna be.
So we were gonna do short stories originally, and they were gonna be fairy tale inspired. These were my thoughts. These did not happen. Like, it didn't happen the way that I thought. In fact, none of the stories came out. I didn't expect the stories to build on each other as they were being written. And lo and behold, they end up departing quite a bit from being fairy tales. And then I sort of went to Gabby and was like, uh-oh, superseded my word count. Like, I've exceeded the limit. What do I do now? And she's like, well, we should do something and put a cover on them and make them into real-life books. And then from there, we combined Heirs of Fate, and now it's the backbone of a new fantasy series. Heyo!
Yeah, and then on top of that, like, we owe a lot to Francina Simone, too, because it did start off where they were very skeletal. When we look back on the drafts of the novellas, they were very bare bones. And they weren't even novellas, they were just short stories. And then she just came to me and she was like, I hate this. And then she just became a much better writer, and she's like, Gabby, these aren't short stories anymore. I've written like 30,000 words.
Your editor.
Yeah,
should tell them.
Yeah.
Francina's their editor.
Yeah. She's like, I've written like 30,000 words. Help me. I'm like, I don't know.
And so the bonus story at the end of the book is now the bridge into the next book, the first book of the series. Now all of the characters are linking up, the worlds are kind of colliding, timelines are going to get explained. So it happened kind of in a, what do you want to say?
And that's actually a short story.
Yes. It's not another novella. You're correct. So that ended up being kind of how that all came together, and then now we're hopefully writing 3 books in the series.
At least.
At least. At least. Girl.
And when can they expect this next book?
Ooh, August 2019 is what we're thinking. Let's hope that actually ends up happening, but we're on track so far. Yes? Do you want to talk about what you're doing right now, actually?
Follow wonderheartbooks.com for updates. I make no promises.
Okay, so one thing that I think is really interesting about the writing is you have these really complex female characters that you write. You have a lot of diversity in your books, which is part of what I love about them. For those of you who don't know, I read and reviewed all of the novellas before I ever started working with these ladies. And so it's just like worked out really well. But Yeah, if you want to talk a little bit about that, about the types of characters and stories that you like to tell and why, and what kind of characters you have in these.
I'm really fascinated by women in general. I think is adapting, and I have a lot of fierce ladies in the room that I grew up with. They showed me what it is to be fierce and strong, but also have like a softer side and be unapologetic as well. My friends are also prime examples of that. They're very diverse in their strengths, and that is kind of what I wanted to bring out. I think a lot of the times, especially if you read fantasy, young adult fantasy, you see a lot of the same repetition when it comes to female main characters. And the ones that we've created so far, they do really bad things. Spoiler alert. They make really tough decisions, but ultimately my hope is that by the end you sympathize because you understand how they sort of became the product of their environments. I look at my grandmother, my aunts, my mom, my friends, all of them, and that's the story of their life. They went through things, they were tough, they were fierce, they were strong, and then at the end of it all they also raised me with compassion, and I can't ask for anything else, right? So in characters as well, I think that's what I look for, is just seeing kind of that multitude, and yeah, that sort of diversity of strengths, that's really important to me.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, wow.
You want to edit?
No, I'm not even going to try to top that.
Okay, so why indie publishing? And what do you guys think about what's happening in indie publishing at the moment and in YA?
Do you want to tackle that first? Or?
We just like the idea of different options.
Yes.
With the internet, with everything else, traditional publishing, no shade to traditional publishing, it's awesome. I just think it's also can be limiting to have one option, just one road to take. So when we just had the idea to publish books, like my sister loves the idea of publishing books, but is also can be afraid. Like it seems like if you want to publish a book and you're not confident in yourself to just take that step to send it out for querying, then what else do you have? But if you can take that risk yourself and publish it yourself, then it makes you more confident, and then you have wonderful people like Scarlett. Hey, then,
Shout out to our street team,
Yeah.
people on the live stream.
then you just and you see the response that you get. It makes you more confident, and then even maybe one day even try to branch out to other options like traditional publishing, including indie publishing.
Yeah, opening it up to people, I think, is one of the things. So, it's not all about us at the end of the day. I mean, Bethany and I, we have conversations just like the other night. We were like, what should we do next? We want to do things without having someone, it's not even a question of having someone tell us no, like if we want to tackle something. But it is a question of being able to say we have all the options because we own the company. We have an unlimited path ahead of us, and we can bring other people, like I was mentioning, that platform for other people to stand on. We can bring other people into it and also enjoy that, unlimited nature of what we can do. I mean, there's really no holds barred. We throw things at the wall all the time, and hey, I mean, we have a book now.
All right.
Yes, we do. There will be more. For both of you, can you tell me about your favorite parts of creating and the different ways that you do that, and then also maybe the most difficult part of it for you?
I love colors. That sounds really, really rudimentary, but I just love picking the colors. I'm constantly asking you, or anybody, I'm like, what do you think? Color palettes, go. And they're like, what? When I pick characters, when I come up with environments, when I'm talking about book covers, I'm like, oh my god, the most exciting part is what kind of colors I get to come up with and what the mood's gonna be. The most difficult part is coming up, I think, with a design that's ultimately gonna draw the attention in for the reader, because people really like the covers, thank you, by the way.
Yes.
But I still don't feel very confident, and you guys give me that confidence. So picking a design, ultimately, I'm like, oh, this has to work. And sticking with that, I think, is the most difficult part.
I hate writing. No, I'm just kidding. So I've changed a lot as a writer. So we mentioned Francina Simone, who's our editor, or it has been for the novellas, and my process has changed a lot because of that, because I've grown as a writer. And if you saw the way things started out, especially with Bride of Dreams and how skeletal it was, and then how things have sort of adapted and meat on the bones, and as we went through revision, I think that's when I started to fall in love with that part of the process. I used to be really into drafting and the ideas and conception of everything, and now I really am into the execution of the story and seeing it become the best version of itself. So now I hate drafting. I hate all of the words. I hate conceptualizing. I hate it all. No, I'm just kidding. But revising has actually become like the best part of it all, seeing how it looks at the end once the final product is ready.
We've talked already a little bit about this, but do you want to expand at all on sort of what comes next for you guys and for Wonderheart, like to whatever extent we want to share at this point?
That's true. So August 2019, make sure you come back to these bookstores because we have another book coming out. Yes, yes. Okay, so that book is coming out, and that's our next big thing, is expanding the series that we're working on right now. Like I said, these novellas make up the backbone of a new series. So new characters, but also the characters from the novellas are coming back, and we want to see the world expand. I mean, we have a concept map now, which is really exciting, which we've all seen. And so the series is our focus right now. It's kind of our baby. It's the first one. And then after that, we have ideas. I mean, like I said, Bethany and I go back and forth quite a lot. And Gabby and I want to collaborate on a couple of things. Maybe work more together on inviting each other into each other's space when it comes to creating things. So maybe me having a little bit more say in the design and her having a little bit more say in the storytelling aspect. So that's exciting.
Can we talk at all about the thing we're announcing soon?
Yes. Oh, see, you reminded me because I was thinking, Bethany, to you, what are you overseeing very, very soon this summer?
Well, if any of you out there are writers yourselves, we're going to be opening up for bringing other voices into this and doing a details will be released in a couple weeks, but opening up a short story writing contest where we're going to put together this fall an ebook version and have some cool prizes for some of the winners. So like trying to open the door for new voices in inclusive storytelling and fantasy.
So we don't have a full team just yet. I mean, we have Bethany, we have Gabby, we have me. So we can't take on everybody. We can't, tell all the stories just yet, but this is like our trial run and a time to experiment and see how we work with other people and inviting them into the Wonderheart book space, and I'm excited about it.
I'm very excited. Okay, I also have 3 questions that we curated from people on Instagram, so we're gonna do that, and then I think it's gonna be almost time for the audience Q&A. So be thinking of questions, everybody, to ask. So we're gonna move into audience Q&A before it's too long. Okay, so Little Book Queen asked, are any of your characters based off real life people?
Shout out to Alex. I see you, girl. I know you're on that Instagram Live. Thank you for that question. No. They're not based on any one of you. But I think it's complicated to base something on someone else. I don't know. I think it's very finite, and then when you kind of come up with the characters yourselves, you make all the rules. So, I mean, like I said earlier, though, I pull from the strengths and the stories and things that I've heard growing up about, my family and what surrounds me. They say, write what you know. That's about as close as I get, is kind of taking in life experiences and family and friends and their stories and what they have to say. So no one's based on anybody, but I mean, there are bits and pieces, I guess, of everyone and everything.
Oh, yeah. Any of your art based? Well, you did want a drawing of me, so that was definitely
I definitely get my artistic things from different I'm nervous, sorry. I get it from different mood boards and stuff like that. Someone pointed out to me that like the varying skin tones on the book cover reminded me of my Puerto Rican heritage, and I was like, I didn't notice that. Oh,
Who said that?
Yeah. Pierre. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's that.
Okay, the May Cave asks, how long did it take you guys to build your company up? And when and why did you decide to build this company? If there's anything you want to add to stuff we've said before.
It took us a week to build this company, I was scared, but Mara just steamrolled through it.
Yeah.
Like, when she, like, bought the LLC, she was like, I did it already. And I was like, what? No turning back now. So we just kind of had to go for it, but we just sat down and we powered through it, and then we truly realized what was in store, and then we've been here. We haven't, like, stopped.
Shout out to Megan. I also see you on that Instagram live. So yeah, we have a good mix of, I guess, personalities, in that Gabby is patient and will pause me and say, hold on, and I have that in Bethany now as well, because I will steamroll. I will go ahead.
Like, maybe
New
we could do
frontiers.
that with the next book.
Right? So Gabby will be like, okay, that's enough. We have this much on our plate. Bethany now does that as well. So when we were building the company, though, we had no plate. We had nothing for it to sit on. There was nothing. Nothing existed. So I wanted to make things and make it happen. So that's why I literally overnight, after we had this discussion, I was like, I'm buying it all now. Everything. And then it was built, but that doesn't mean that we're still not building. We still have so much work to do and so much that's happening. Sales are really important. So again, pick up your copies now before you leave. But building it up step by steps, we have the bare bones, and now we're adding more to it, and we keep building, and hopefully we'll see more on our team, which is really exciting. More stories, again, more voices. So yeah, it took a week, but it's not really.
And it's been a year now, right?
Yes, a little over a year. Our anniversary was in March.
Okay, last question before we do audience Q&A from Penny Kearney Books. She asks, what measure do you use to gauge your own personal success as a person and as an artist?
Oh, Gabby, tackle that. That's
Okay, good question.
Well, it definitely takes a lot of time giving ourselves due credit, because we are definitely not people that credit ourselves often.
Yeah.
And during the first year, there are a lot of times we just spiraled because we're like, can we even do this? And then there are definitely times when Mara was like looking at like Saoirse Ronan, and she's like, oh my god, she's like a famous actress. I'm like, Mara, you own a company. And she's like, Gabby, that's so sweet. And I'm like, I know. So it's definitely just giving yourself credit where credit is due, because we have a long way to go, and you're definitely helping us. Like, you've done so much for us in just like a couple weeks. But just the fact that we have these books out, and people just randomly telling us, like, my parents or like my friends just being like, you realize you have like a book out? And I'm like, I have a book out. I do. It just definitely hypes you up and makes you feel like you're doing something important. Where you just sharing the dream to yourself might not make you feel that way. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm glad she said, how do you gauge success? Because I think success is a dime a dozen now. I mean, everybody's parameters are different. I looked at the rankings on Amazon when Heirs of Fate came out. I'm like, is this a good thing? Is this this is good? Yes. It seems like a good thing. We don't have. I don't think we look at competition and go, we want to strive for better than this, or we're not looking at anyone else's numbers or the stories that are out there right now. What's nice is we're kind of in a bubble at the moment, and we're just kind of expanding from there. We're not really looking at anyone else's paper. But yeah, it's tough. Like, I do tend to look at some young successes, and I'm like, Jesus, they have like, how many movies under their belt? How many books? But it's all relative, so yeah.
Well, my favorite thing was I was at an event with the lovely Lee Bardugo once, who talked about how her first book she wrote when she was 35.
Yes, Lee,
she's like huge now, so there's time.
Yeah, and then also just kind of going through it all, going through the motions, committing to it. I think that's my success in a nutshell. Is if I've written today, if I've done something, if I've helped someone, that's really what I look at, and especially through the lens of our company too. So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I think we're going to take audience questions. So there's a mic that'll go around if anybody's got questions.
I have a question.
Oh, there we go. Hi. Sorry, I'm coming to you with the mic.
I have a question. I was thinking about this.
I think we're about to be trolled by our brother. I don't know. I'm kind of
What's up? I'm gauging. Okay, so I noticed that you have a propensity for adding in diverse characters, whether they're people of color, LGBT, etc. Do you think that there is a scarcity of that in the YA community and books in general, and what's your stance on that?
Propensity and scarcity. Did anyone hear that? Who gave him the dictionary? Who?
I have a really wide vocabulary.
You pulled that out. Yeah, go for it.
I was thinking about it.
Do you want to list? Okay. Yes and no. I think the market is evolving constantly, and we see more and more. And also, I have conversations with my friends sometimes, and it's like, what have you been reading all this time? You know what I'm talking about? What have you been reading? Because I think there have always been voices in the market, but now we're starting to shine a light on them. And that's kind of part of what Wonder Heart Books is about, is shining light on these things, but they exist, and we're excited about it, and we're creating them too. What do you think?
I also think it's important to promote people who understand the story.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see more people of color in books, but I also want you to write what you know.
Yes.
Like, don't force it.
Yeah.
Like, we just happen to know this.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And it's cool.
Well, and if I can add, like,
Yes, please.
with these, the thing that's great about it is that you have characters who are racially diverse, who are LGBT, and yet that's not what the story is about.
Yes.
Like, it's incidental to who they are. They're fully fleshed characters, and the story is about what's going on with them and what's happening in the world.
When we add more people to the company, I hope we see more diverse people, just adding more diverse stories to what we do. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, it just gives, I think, flavor. It informs the stories that they live, but at the end of the day, I don't want it to be the label that they live under. You know what I mean? I want the story to be about more than that. They just happen to look the way that they look, and I think, I mean, you can kind of see that when you see Jade, Dia, and Zarya. They're all different. They're not the same, and they have different, you know, attributes and stories, so.
Yeah. Inclusive.
Yes, inclusive. Yes.
Anybody else? Questions?
Raise your hands.
So I wanted to know, what comes first for you when you're writing a story? A character, the setting, the plot?
Usually character. Sometimes it's world. Plot is a struggle. Characters come first. I usually am thinking about what this person wants and what they want, what they're trying to accomplish, and how does what they want get in the way of what they're trying to accomplish. Once I start thinking in those terms, I start to see somebody. Then from there, it's like, what is this person like? Generally speaking, most of the characters that come out of my head happen to be misfit-like, and they do dark things, but for good reasons, yes? For the right reasons, wrong choices, but right reasons. And Gabby's like, rainbows and sunshine, please.
Yeah, and it's also like she has to run things by me because sometimes the stuff that comes out of that head, I'm like, what? I tear her crap apart.
I'm like, it's so juicy, it's so dramatic. And Gabby's like, no.
I'm like, well, how would that work though? He's like, I don't know. I don't build the world though.
I've literally slid into the kitchen a couple times, like, listen to this. And I go through the whole thing, and Gabby's just deadpan, and she's like, what? Like, that's just the nutshell.
Yeah. So it's important to have a critique partner who's ruthless. And I am ruthless, for sure.
Did we answer your question in full? Did we miss something? Okay.
I have a question. I know you said earlier that now you have your own company, you can expand, and are you going to stick to fantasy only, or are you eventually going to maybe do something like real life based, like maybe somebody you know, or like true stories, you know, instead of fantasy? Do you think you'll ever move in that direction?
So we're probably going to stick predominantly in fiction, but we're looking to move into other genres. We're called Wonder Heart Books. We haven't come up with any other names of like subgenre, companies, because every company has an imprint underneath. But we'd like to do like rom-coms and not sci-fi, no sci-fi, but science is hard. No, just kidding. Sci-fi. But sticking mostly to fiction, I don't know. But if we bring someone else on who's like, hey, I want to write this non-fiction memoir thingy, sure, we'll take a look at it, you know? Anything's possible.
Yeah, and also we just see a lot of things in like the media, TV, and we're like, I want to do that, but
Yeah.
better.
Yes.
I want to write that.
I think that's
So,
everyone too.
Yeah, so I think like definitely different genres are possible. Plus, like we have you now, so we talk about things all the time.
Yeah.
Well, we've definitely talked about like fantasy romance imprint type
Yeah.
things. So we'll see.
Yeah.
There will be
Paranormal.
paranormal, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely fun.
First of all, a little stuck on the fact that you said sci-fi's okay. Excuse me. Sci-fi's my jam. I was gonna ask.
I told you he would troll us.
I'm not trolling if it's the truth. I was gonna say, you were talking about before, like themes of your books and stuff, how you often have a lot of angstier ideas, and Gabby's all rainbows and sunshine and stuff. Would you ever explore darker themes, like actually go full on into it?
Are we not dark enough for you?
I've seen some stuff.
I mean, we're pretty dark, but I also, okay, so I laugh and say that Gabby's all sunshine and rainbows. That is not entirely true. I'm also sunshine and rainbows. I watch Hallmark movies every Christmas. I need a happy ending too. So I don't necessarily want to go any darker, but if a story arises, I'm not gonna say no to it. But no, not at this time. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
That's enough now.
I support you.
Yeah, see, she watches Game of Thrones and Black Sails. I'm not sure she wants to write Game of Thrones and Black
Yes,
Sails.
thank you.
God, you're so valid.
So you spoke a little bit about world. Can you talk about your process in world building? And then can you also talk a little bit about kind of what it was like when you had the idea for this and how it evolved to the final product?
Do you see how she just, like, that was so well articulated. Thank you, my friend. When it comes to world building, it's really interesting. I think the world gets gradually more refined and sharper the more rounds of revisions I do. I do have an idea, sometimes a cultural touchstone. I mean, for example, Dia and Bride of Dreams, I think I wanted to kind of look at Indian mythology and see sort of what stories there I could look at and kind of inspire, I guess, the aesthetic more so than, I don't know, I think it goes into a lot of the things that are important to Hindu mythology, and I did a lot of research on that. Every story is different though, like each country in there is different, and then the world kind of exists in one large thing, a potato. I once drew a potato of the world, so I was going to say potato, but that's not accurate. It is not a potato anymore. I have no drawing skills. Thank you, Gabby.
Yeah, and then we often like sit down and we'll just go out and we'll talk about the world.
Yeah.
Because I like talking about world building. It's kind of my favorite thing.
Ramifications and stuff.
Yeah, and then I'll criticize her and we'll talk about each location and what I think it would look best in, or aesthetically what I think it'll look nice in, or culturally,
Yeah.
or what people would live there, what they'll do. And I'll ask all the questions and she'll be like, isn't this a little much? Like, we're not there yet. And then she's like, well, I have to write that first. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a balance between the two, I think.
Because of Gabby, I have a series Bible now. I'm starting to write everything down, but this is good because I think those details come through, hopefully. And I'd like to think the worlds get stronger as they go. I know with each story I had different goals. So Bride of Dreams, I wanted it to be about pretty prose, but still have characters who matter. And the world, you know, it's there, but I wish I had refined it a little bit more. So there's always room for improvement on that front, but each world kind of develops from there. And then you talked about evolving and how they evolve. So we mentioned how Bride of Dreams was like a skeletal draft. To put it in perspective, Bride of Dreams originally was about 14,000 words. Now it's around 30,000 words. So it grew quite a bit. And the writing was very sparse. I mean, some of Francina's comments, I should have brought them here to read them to you because they were hilarious. She's like, yeah. I mean, I wept after I opened that email. I was like, what? I have to do what now?
I did a really good job. I don't know what she's gonna say about it.
But it's good to be taken down a peg. I thought it was fine, but it wasn't fine. And then every kind of novella since, I pay attention more and more to the things that she mentioned. So the world got bigger. The characters themselves grew a lot too. I mean, Dia was just sort of like a whiny girl going through the river and trying to save people. And you're like, who are you? Why do we care? And hopefully now you care. So it's things like that where I had ideas and they just got more and more realized the longer we edited.
And moving into book 1 of the full series, I know we've had conversations about like the ramifications of history and politics and religion and how that informs the world and the choices that are made.
Yes.
Yeah.
So juicy, so many juicy things coming. No, I'm just kidding, but really, it's gonna be exciting.
We have time for like 1 or 2 more questions if anyone has them.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi!
So I do have actually 2 questions. I didn't have a lot of questions, but I'll have them later on. And some people do, some people don't. Did you ever have like a playlist for the novellas as you were writing it, or as as you were thinking about like stuff to develop in it, after the finished product?
There should have been a thought bubble above Gabby's head. She's like, did she have a playlist? Let me tell you. So I repeat songs quite a lot, and I think that's why Gabby's sick and tired of it all, because she'll walk in and sort of hear these amazing crescendos and orchestras, and it's like a Lord of the Rings soundtrack, and I've listened to it 1,000,001 times, and she's like, that's enough now. I need to do my work as well. Please stop. So yes, I do listen to a lot of music. I live on Spotify, and I pull a lot of orchestras. Sometimes I pull songs that kind of have meaning. But yeah, definitely, tons and tons of playlists. Maybe I'll make them public. Is that what you're?
Should.
Yeah, maybe we should
Could
do that. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll get on that.
Okay. And then my next question, kind of going back a little bit to what's going on with Labor Deal and everything. Kind of thinking ahead a little bit. Did you guys ever have any idea of like a cast for when this, if this ever became a movie or series, like just because of how it is in the movie industry that like everything is so whitewashed and stuff like that? Do you have like specific things?
I do not, but girl, let me tell you how excited I am about that series. Like, I can't wait for the Netflix series. I mean, I do have, okay, so here's the thing. People have asked me this before, and no, I don't have any actors because I don't know anyone talented. And funnily enough, I was in the car with my dad the other day, and he's like name dropping people. I'm like, who are they from? Where did they go? I don't know. Sure, that sounds amazing. But I will say that if Idris Elba or, I don't know, Sean Bean or, any one of those, those big names. The names that I grew up with or have movies coming out now that are like really smoking, I mean, I would want to be on the sets with these guys. So sure, come on down. It's okay. We'll do a movie. We'll work on it.
We'll find a character for you.
Something. We've talked about this, right? Who else did I name drop? Jason Momoa? Anybody? Come at me, bro. So yes and no.
Don't look at me. I'm like, I know your face. I don't know your name.
I guess just one more question. Do you guys envision this to be like a full series? Do you envision it to be like a trilogy, a saga? What?
Yes, I do. Yes. So the novellas, like I said, were never meant to like piggyback off of each other. Now that they have, the world's grown, and there's just no other option now. I must write the series because I've built so many things, put so much time. So did Gabby. I mean, Bethany's excited. You can't leave Bethany hanging. So yes, it will be a series. Right now, we're planning on 3 books, maybe some more novellas in between.
At least 3 books.
At least 3. See, Bethany keeps saying that. It's almost like she thinks I'm gonna overwrite, which.
I mean, it could be.
You would never do
that. Never, ever. Yeah. So at least 3. Possibly 5. I can kind of see 5. As long as you guys want me to tell the stories, you guys and you guys want me to tell the stories, and as long as I have ideas for them, and I think I do. I have like a giant folder of things I want to do. So yes, series.
All right, everyone, give it up for Amara, Gabby, and Bethany.
The first we're going to do, we have a few of these. They're little bath bombs that were made inspired by Jade, the character, it's one of the characters in Storm Mistress. And they are rose water and lemon scented mini bath bombs by Fairy Tale Bath Company. So we have 5 of these.
They smell amazing, I promise you. Really amazing.
And then we have some other things as well.
I've also heard you can use them in the shower. I did not know this, but apparently if you put them at the drain of the shower, it still gives the smell. So if you don't have a bath, which I did not know, now I'm going to stuff more in my pocket because I had no idea.
Sorry, I'm trusted with your features.
Okay, so we have 0804947.
Is it gonna be?
Next, we're gonna do this. We have this beautiful mug that we each have one, but they're made inspired by The Huntress and the Nightingale. One of the things that says the forest is starved for you, and it has this beautiful forestscape made by Creatively Crafts. So
I'm seeing hungry eyes, lots of hungry eyes. Moms, settle down.
okay.
Please let it be.
0804943.
That's me.
And then finally, somebody will get this beautiful Wonder Heart Books box. This is what we sent out to our PR people. It has a bath bomb in it and a signed arc of the book and some other goodies and stuff. So.
Just so you know, Gabby designed the logo for the company, which is amazing, and Bethany designed the boxes. Note how I am not part of that creative process. It would have gone awry.
You paid for the box.
I did. I made that decision. I did.
All right. 0804941. All right.
You don't want the box.
Thank you guys.
Bonnie, this is deserved. This is deserved, Bonnie. I'm excited.
So I think we're doing the signing next. Yes.
We are going to do a little stage magic. It's just going to take us a few minutes. In the meantime, if you did not receive a fun giveaway, we do have plenty of books over here for you to be signed.
Okay, we're with a bunch of their family, having dinner after. How do you feel?
Relieved and tired.
How do you feel, Amara? I'm so excited! That was so good.